all of you waiting to. You're kind of.
Do you want me to move so you can sit here? No, you can go back there.
Yeah.
For the
So
picture.
you didn't believe me at first.
Are you back?
I am.
Okay, everyone say cheese. Woohoo. Okay, good. Yeah, get the city manager in. City manager be looking at them.
City manager.
Good. All right. Thank you.
It's now 7 o'clock, and I will call the meeting to order. Can I please get a roll call?
All councilors are present.
Can everyone please join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under special orders of the day, we have a proclamation commemorating the 100th anniversary of the women's suffrage movement, the right to vote.
Can I have, yeah, absolutely. Can I have the individuals from the Beloit League of Women Voters come up? Yeah, that's a little better. I got a good crowd behind me here.
I'm a token guy.
We have an official proclamation, and it reads, whereas, beginning in the mid-19th century, hundreds of thousands of American women were involved in revitalizing the women's rights movement. And whereas, throughout the years, suffragists tried various tactics to challenge male-only voting laws, including parades, silent vigils, hunger strikes, but they found that they and their supporters were subject to ridicule, rejection, physical abuse, and jail time. And whereas, the remarkable suffragists organized a nonviolent grassroots uprising of women that won citizenship, political liberty, and the right to vote. And whereas, they're an important part of history of America and a source of strength and inspiration moving society towards justice and equality. And whereas, on June 10th, 1919, Wisconsin made history by becoming the first state to officially ratify the 19th Amendment of the United States Constitution, giving women the right to vote. And whereas, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers created a committee to celebrate the centennial anniversary of the Wisconsin's ratification of the 19th Amendment. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Beloit City Council does acknowledge the historical importance of Wisconsin's role in the fight for women's suffrage and encourage all residents to remember with pride the momentum and forward-looking determination of the women who fought for equality and the right to vote. And be it further proclaimed that Beloit residents are encouraged to participate in educational activities and events that will be planned across Wisconsin to commemorate and celebrate the 100th anniversary of the women's suffrage movement, right to vote. And remember to use your voice to vote in every election. Presented this June 3rd, 2019.
I want to thank you on behalf of the League. We are very happy to receive this. It was a very important thing that Wisconsin was the first to sign the amendment. But we want to let you know that we're still working and we will continue to work to make sure that everyone has a voice and can vote.
Wonderful. I would just like to thank the Beloit League of Women Voters for all that you're doing in our community. And I'm glad that we're recognizing the 100th anniversary of Wisconsin's ratification, especially because we have so many women in government who are leading the way, like our city manager, Loyd Curtis Luther, and our counselors who are sitting right here on our panel. So thank you all. That certainly is a testament that women are soaring to new heights.
And the city attorney as well.
And our city attorney, yes. So thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we will go to item 4A.
Under public hearings, we have consideration of Resolution 2019-50 approving a petition to vacate the 1200 block of 4th Street located between Middle Street and North Street.
Ready for me? Yes. The city has received a petition from the School District of Beloit to vacate the 1200 block of 4th Street adjacent to Beloit Memorial High School. The proposed area to be vacated has been administratively closed to traffic on a trial basis since the beginning of the 2018-2019 school year, and this petition would permanently close that same block. The proposed area to be vacated is 0.9 acres and is currently improved with roadway, curb and gutter, terrace, sidewalks, and utilities. The area will eventually be redesigned to a more plaza and pedestrian-friendly zone, but will retain an emergency access lane. The intent is to improve student safety and to transform the space into a more cohesive campus. If approved, the vacated area will be equally divided between and attached to both adjacent school-owned parcels, subject to easements to allow utilities and emergency access. The review agents have requested a blanket utility easement for all the existing utilities in the area to be vacated. All required public notices have been distributed and published, and the list pendants was recorded with the Rock County Register of Deeds on April 11th. Plan Commission reviewed this item on May 8th and voted 5-2 to recommend approval of this vacation. At its April 29th meeting, the Traffic Review Committee recommended support for the vacation and closure of 4th Street in front of Beloit Memorial High School. This is on your agenda for action tonight.
Okay. At this time, the public hearing is open. Would anyone wishing to speak in favor please come forward? That's coming. Would anyone wishing to speak in favor please come forward? Final call. Would anyone wishing to speak in favor please come forward? Would anyone opposed please come forward? And if you could state your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
Have this filled out.
Okay.
Marianne Svem, 1131 Richard Street, Beloit. I'd like to remind you that we have had referendums in the past, and those referendums proved that the majority of Beloiters do not want 4th Street closed. So I'm here to remind you that if you ignore that, I think you're doing a great injustice to the democratic way of doing things in Beloit. To just ignore those referendums is wrong. I'm against closing 4th Street, and I want to ask you to not do that.
Thank you. Would anyone else opposed please come forward at this time if you would like to speak? Final call. Would anyone opposed please come forward? The public hearing is now closed. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Okay, we've got a first. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion?
I'd like to say something.
Go ahead, Councilor Peschel.
The mention of the referendum reminds me that 25 years ago, we had a referendum that included 3 proposals for proceeding with the entire closure of 4th Street from Maple to Liberty. And it consisted of a mishmash of different proposals on what to do with routing traffic if it was approved. Nothing was clear as to how it would happen, how that would happen, or when it would happen, or what means would be used in order to make it happen. And I opposed that closing of 4th Street at that time and voted against it. This right now is closing one single block of 4th Street, the 1200 block, and it is not equivalent to the referendums that were voted on 25 years ago. This makes a lot of sense, and we should just get on with it. I doubt we've heard anything from anybody until the last month when this became an agenda item. And so I think making the claim that it was a referenda item is false. It's a false equivalency. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Yes, go ahead. City Manager Luther.
Thank you.
I simply wanted to state for the record again the rationale that both the police chief and I came forward with the administrative closing of 4th Street, this portion in front of the high school last year, was tied directly to public safety and our concerns about the access in front of the high school for pedestrians, for the driving traffic, et cetera. And so I continue to stand by that recommendation in support of enhancing public safety and would stand to answer any questions you might have.
We have a first, go ahead, Councilor Anderson, please.
Yeah, I'll admit when this first happened, it felt a little strange for me, closing that. I was a Beloit Memorial graduate in 2011, so I've always known that street to be open. But upon talking to high school students, I periodically will go to public speaking classes there, and I asked them how they felt. And they said it was strange at first, but they understand, they feel safer at school. And I think when we vote on things like this, it's most important to think about who's being affected the most, and I think it's our kids. And I really want to make sure that our kids feel safe at school, especially with all the stuff going on these days. So that's why I will be voting in favor of this closure.
Okay, is there any further discussion? We have a first and a second. And so all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? With that said, motion carries.
Item 4B is a consideration of Resolution 2019-66, authorizing a conditional use permit to allow rooftop seating in the CBD Central Business District at 658 4th Street.
And our Community Development Director, Christensen, will provide background information.
So Peter Gabriel is in the process, who is the owner of this building, is in the process of renovating the buildings into a banquet special event space to be known as Grand Hall 2. He recently combined the properties into one zoning and tax parcel. It's been on hold for a little bit while he took the necessary steps to place them under the same corporate ownership. The buildings have been internally connected through new doorway openings. The first floor banquet hall in the southern building, 648, has been mostly completed, and the applicant intends to remodel the northern former service station building, 658, into a lobby and seating area with internal and external staircases leading to a new rooftop seating area as shown on the attachments. The attached renderings illustrate the design concept, and he has noted that the seating area will include a railing and pergola. Plan Commission reviewed this item on May 22nd and voted unanimously to recommend approval, subject to the 5 conditions and 5 ordinance requirements, and based on the conditional use decision form. So the conditions are listed in the resolution, which is that this conditional use permit authorizes the rooftop seating area shown in the application attachments and the extension of the possession, sale, and consumption of alcohol onto said area, subject to all the conditions below. In order to promote architectural harmony and safety, this rooftop seating area shall be surrounded by a railing that is designed to appear as a parapet wall, as depicted in the renderings provided with the application, and shall include a pergola as shown. The applicant shall submit a plan for finishing the existing gravel areas with concrete and or landscaping by July 1st, and shall complete the approved improvements prior to occupancy. No parking shall be permitted between the buildings and the public right-of-way on the properties in order to promote an attractive pedestrian-friendly environment and safe vehicular traffic at the intersection. The existing damaged curb and gutter surrounding the property shall be replaced with new curb and gutter, meeting the city's specifications prior to occupancy of the rooftop seating area. All access driveway aprons shall also be removed. This will require a right-of-way permit from the engineering division. And then our standard condition about major changes coming back to this public process and minor changes being approved administratively. And then it's further resolved that the applicant is formally advised of the following additional ordinance requirements. Before constructing the rooftop seating area, the applicant shall obtain an architecture review certificate and building permit. The railing parapet wall shall be at least 42 inches in height as required by the building code. The maximum capacity of the rooftop seating area shall be determined by the building official prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the building and should be posted accordingly. Prior to serving alcoholic beverages, the applicant shall amend the liquor license for the premises to include the outdoor area, and the applicant shall have 12 months from the date of the COP issuance to complete construction and commence use of the outdoor seating area, or the COP will lapse and be of no further effect. And then this is based on the conditional use permit decision form, which says for approval, which lists the substantial evidence that was considered by Plan Commission, and is part of this application. And it's also noted that the applicant, Peter Gabriel, who's here tonight, did acknowledge that he that he agreed to meet all of the requirements that are included in this resolution.
Thank you, Julie. At this time, the public hearing is open. Would anyone wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use permit, please come forward? Would anyone wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use permit, please come forward? And this is the final call. If you would wish to speak in favor of the conditional use permit, please come forward. Now, would anyone opposed to the conditional use, please come forward? And I'll ask again, would anyone opposed to the conditional use permit, please come forward? Final call. Is there anyone opposed to the conditional use permit that would want to come forward? The public hearing is now closed. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I so move.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Discussion, Madam President.
I'm sorry, any discussion?
Yes. Although I'm very much in favor of this, and I think it sounds like an exciting new venue for Beloit, I just want to mention that some people with physical disabilities will not be able to access the wonderful new venue. So I'm not throwing it down. It's no kind of red line in the sand for me at all. But in the future, I hope that all of us will give thought to people with disabilities who live in Beloit, who might like an exciting evening out at a place like that. But it does sound like a great idea.
Any further discussion? We have a first and a second. Any opposed? All in favor? I'm moving ahead. Any opposed? With that said, motion carries.
Item 4C is a consideration of Resolution 2019-58 approving a conditional use permit to allow warehouse use in a C3 community commercial district for the property located at 1750 Brannigan Road.
Community Development Director Christensen, can you provide us some background information?
Sure. Stephen Kramer, on behalf of Trua Septic LLC, has applied for this conditional use and is proposing a new 10,000 square foot warehouse and employee parking for the expansion of the facility located at 2924 Waiata Drive. He currently has an accepted offer to purchase the subject property. This property is Zone C3 Community Commercial, which is intended to accommodate community-oriented retail sales and services. It is located within the Milwaukee Road Overlays District, which is intended to protect the aesthetic character of land adjacent to Milwaukee Road and to provide and promote orderly development and redevelopment of the Milwaukee Road corridor. Warehouse and freight movement requires a conditional use permit in the C3 zoning district. Planning Commission reviewed this item on May 22nd and voted unanimously to recommend approval, subject to the conditions which are included in the resolution, which is in your packet, which is that this approval authorizes the construction of a warehouse building in a C3 community commercial district for the property located at 1750 Brannigan Road, as shown on the site plan submitted with the application, and then our standard condition about major changes coming back through this public process and minor changes being approved administratively. And then the applicant is formally advised of the following additional ordinance requirements. As required by Section 8-100 of the zoning ordinance, the applicant shall allocate one parking stall per 2,000 square foot of warehouse or one parking stall per employee for the warehouse building. As required by Section 5-600 of the zoning ordinance, the architectural and site design of the project must adhere to the Milwaukee Road Overlay District standards. Before constructing on site, the applicant shall obtain an architectural review certificate and a building permit as required by code. As required by NFPA, the applicant shall provide appropriate fire access to the subject property. And then this one as well is subject to the conditional use permit decision form, which is included in your packet, which is indicated for approval, and it has the substantial evidence which Plan Commission used in making their recommendation for approval. And at the Plan Commission meeting, Stephen Kramer did acknowledge that he would meet or agree to meet all the requirements found in the zoning ordinance and all conditions imposed by the permit. And this is on your agenda for action tonight.
At this time, the public hearing is open. Would anyone wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use permit, please come forward? Would anyone wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use permit, please come forward? Final call. Would anyone wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use permit please come forward? Now, would anyone opposed to the conditional use permit please come forward? Would anyone opposed to the conditional use permit please come forward? Final call. Would anyone opposed to the conditional use permit please come forward? The public hearing is now closed. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I so move.
Here's a first. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jacobson, and there was a first by Forbeck. So any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that said, motion carries. Now we're at the topic of public comments. I'm sorry. So, we have reached a point in our agenda for residents to speak to the council about issues that are coming before us or may come before us in the future. Council members may not act on any request at this meeting, but may refer a speaker to staff for assistance. We ask that you hold your comments to 3 minutes or less and refrain from any personal attacks. Public comment is a privilege, and we expect everyone to conduct themselves in a civil manner. Speakers are asked to complete a public comment form and turn it in prior to the meeting. Each individual will be invited to the podium and asked to state their name and address for the record. And I'm not sure that we have any speakers. Is there anyone? Okay. So if there are no public comments, we will go to item 6, the consent agenda.
All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
Okay. So would any counselor like anything removed from the consent agenda at this time? The consent agenda consists of items 6A through 6G. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move.
Okay.
Preschel,
We
Blake.
have a first by Preschel and a second by Jacobson. Okay. So any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that said, motion carries.
Item 7A is a resolution 2019-71 approving the 2017-2019 applicants for alcohol beverage operator bartender licenses for the period of May 14th through the 24th. You have before you tonight 6 bartender operators who will be effective tomorrow, and this only goes through June 30th, where they will have to renew their 2-year cycle for July 1.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve item 7A, please? Okay, we have a motion by Preschel, a second by Forbeck. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? With that said, motion carries.
7B is a resolution 2019-72 approving applicants for an alcohol beverage operator bartender license for the license year 2019-2021. There is before you tonight 146 applicants who are renewing their bartender operator licenses effective July 1.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve item 7B, please?
I so move.
Okay, we have a motion by Forbeck.
Second.
We have a second by Blakely.
That.
Is there any discussion at this time? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that said, motion carries.
7C is a resolution 2019-67 approving renewals of alcohol beverage licenses for the license period July 1, 2019 through July 30th, 2020. You have before you tonight the annual renewal of alcohol licenses for the businesses that either sell on-site or off-site. You earlier approved the late renewals to go to ABLCC in the June meeting here next week. So there were 3 that you just referred that had late applications. Everybody else is in this application to be approved, and then there are still 4 in my office that I still need to get some paperwork on. So this is the bulk of the renewal licenses that'll take effect July 1 by your approving tonight. We'll prepare those licenses, collect the fees, and have everybody up and operating July 1.
Thank you very much. So can I have a motion to approve item 7C, please?
I so move.
We have a motion by Forbeck.
I'll second.
Have a second by Blakely. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. I would just like to thank the city clerk treasurer for all the hard work that she goes through to help us stay up to speed and not cause undue delay for our citizens. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay, go ahead, Councilor Prushel.
Is the Beloit Arts Center in any of these? I don't recall seeing it, and I looked for it.
The Beloit Arts Center happens to be in my office needing some paperwork. I mentioned there were 4.
Yep, and
Good
that
guess.
was one of them? Okay. Well, I was concerned, and I want to make sure when I go to First Fridays that I'm going to have some wine to sip. Thank you.
Yeah, well, at this point in the game, anybody that has not been recommended as a late renewal will have a little bit of an issue getting to that July 1 meeting, because now they're going to have to go to the July alcohol meeting, which doesn't happen until like July 10th, and then they'll come back to you at that next meeting. So
We'll have wine
the
this
people
week
that
at the Franklin Boggs exhibit, right?
probably will have temporary Class B
Class,
for
okay.
that.
I was just
item.
kind of concerned.
And they have a current license through
They have a
June
current
30th,
license, yes, I know. So I know that's good. I was just concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion by Forbeck. We have a second by Blakely. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that said, motion carries.
Under ordinances this evening, 8A is consideration of Ordinance 3650 to amend certain sections of the Index of Special Locations, Section 13.02 of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit, to remove parking in the 1600 block of Burton Street.
Does Public Works Director Williamson have a report for us?
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, we had a resident that had requested from the city the removal of one parking stall. Staff reviewed this and determined that spot parking removal was not recommended by staff. This was upheld by our traffic review committee as well. So both are recommending denial of the request.
Thank you very much. Unless I hear a motion, we will move on to the next item on the agenda.
Okay, so lack of a motion, we'll move on to 8B. Consideration of Ordinance 3651 to amend certain sections of the Index of Special Locations, Section 1302 of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit to remove parking restrictions related to the Colac Educational Center property at 1633 Keeler Avenue.
Okay. And does Public Works Director Williamson have another report for us on that?
Good evening again. This is a request to remove signage that's related to parking restrictions that were adjacent to a school. This Roosevelt School is no longer housing students. It's now the Colac Center. And so with that, we are requesting to remove the no parking.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to lay this over for the second reading?
I so move.
We have a motion by Forbeck. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Blakely. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councilor Forbeck.
I just want to compliment staff for this. It just makes such sense. I'm sure this is going to be really nice for the neighbors around there to be able to have somebody pull up and come into your house and be able to park outside. So as soon as I saw that, I thought, good. So, good job.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that said, motion carries.
There are no appointments, so we'll move on to councilor activities and upcoming events.
First, we'll have Councilor Prushel.
Well, thank you very much. I don't have too much to add tonight, except that I would like to point out that, again, Beloit Arts Center, First Fridays, is featuring local artist Franklin Boggs. I grew up with his kids, and he's got a large collection of stuff. He even did Frisbees, which is kind of cool. So that's opening at the Beloit Arts Center, 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, or is it 9, on Friday evening. That will be the opening of that exhibit, and the farmer's market is still going strong. I came down last weekend, and I did get one of the last egg rolls, and when I came around the corner, and this is at 11 o'clock, all the parking lots were still full, and I parked in City Hall parking lot. So, and when I drove in the City Hall parking lot, it was completely empty for some odd reason. But all the other parking lots were just, it was jammed. I couldn't believe it was the, the 1st May, thing, and it was, or the 1st June, and yeah, it's going strong right out the gate, so that's great.
Thank you very much. Councilor Jacobson.
Thank you. I have a report tonight. This evening, I am reminding you about the 608 Day, which is on, you guessed it, June 8th, and that's on Saturday. And the events this year are brought to you by Beloit Community Partners. The Beloit 608 Day will showcase the people, places, and things that make Beloit great with fun experiences, events, and specials throughout the city with a fun play on our area code for these special events. I'm going to read off some events, but if you wanted to look them up yourself, you could go to visitbeloit.com/Beloit 608 Day, or you could probably just Google 608 Day and find, Beloit 608 Day. Some examples are, and these are just from the website, I'm not playing favorites. You can buy a pound of saltwater taffy for $6.08. You can get this image screen printed on any shirt of your preference. You should bring in a shirt to Walnut Creek for $6.08. I think. Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Thanks, Keith. And thank you for letting me borrow that. I think, and you can do this on Friday too. Also, a little plug for Walnut Creek. Once the first Friday of every month, I believe they're going to have a screen print that you can have put on any shirt. So if you go in there, they have a list of events. You can get an omelet at Bagels and More and at Blue Collar Coffee for $6.08. And Glitz and Go has a 608 special. I'll read off.
What's Northwood's got?
You look for that. I saw a basil mojito for $6 at Maryland Houston's from 4 to 10. So luckily they got their liquor license. So some of the participating partners are Bagels and More, Beloit Arts Center, Beloit Senior Living, Black Hawk Bank, Blue Collar Coffee, Bride Motors. When I was at Walnut Creek, I heard Bride Motors has 100 shirts. I think they might be giving them away in some way. Educators Credit Union, Fairfield Inn and Suites. I was reading, if you stop in Fairfield Inn and Suites, which has just been remodeled, you can enter in to win an overnight stay. One drawing will be for an overnight stay for $6.08, and the second giveaway will be for $60.08. And then they have some other giveaways. I was reading Friends of Beckman Mill, Glitz and Go, Ironworks Golf Lab, J&G Coins, Rings and Things, Lucy's, Maryland Houston, National Flag Store, Northwoods Premium, Pizzazz, Sugar Britches, the Nest Egg Truck, Velvet Buffalo, Vintage Bliss. So there should be plenty of stuff, some nice little trinkets to get at an affordable price. Again, on Saturday, and you can get this screen printed on Friday and Saturday. Bring in your own shirt, and I asked them if they had any preference for materials. I think you can get it printed on anything. And so I said, cotton, what do you want? And they said, as long as it doesn't melt. So whatever that means to you, you can get this printed. I think it's a pretty good design. And hopefully you can stop in when you're at the farmer's market. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Jacobson. Councilor Blakely.
Yes, there's another smaller event going on this coming Saturday. It's Crafternoons at Beloit Public Library from 1 to 3 o'clock. It's led by a retired librarian who is also a fabulous quilter, knitter, crocheter, sewer, and I don't know what else. She could be a tatter for all I know. She's an expert at crafts herself. So people come in, it's open to all adults or teenagers accompanied by an adult, and a special room is set aside. It's really pretty cool. I am not a craft person like the group. I attended a meeting, and they were, in the middle, they were exchanging recipes. So I came away from Crafternoons with some good recipes. But it is open to the public for free every other Saturday at Beloit Public Library, this coming Saturday, June 8th, from 1 to 3.
Councilor Levy. Thank you, Councilor Blakely.
Just a few things. in June, we're going to have a busy time here. Father's Day weekend, or June 14th through the 16th. Every 2 years, we have what we call a Back to Beloit event. That's where a lot of people who lived here in Beloit from the African American community come back and be a part of seeing the changes that we've made in Beloit over the years, and then just to get reacquainted and fellowship with people they grew up with. So that's going to be June 14th through the 16th, and I know they do have a cookout. But one of the things I'm excited about this year is, and I want to thank the city manager, city attorney, department, city public work director, and anyone involved with the Beloit Turtle Creek project. And one of the things that we're going to be able to do this year is give them information about what the city is planning on doing to that park. I just want you to know, Director Williamson, that the word is already out in the street about the wonderful things that the city has planned. So I talked to a lot of people, and they're excited about it. So I think it's great that we're going to share it with the individuals that's coming back to Beloit for that weekend. Then also on June 22nd at 11 o'clock, we're going to have the Walter Knight signs unveiled for his honorary bridge. So that's going to be at 11 o'clock as well. And it's going to be over at the bridge, so park in the park area and get a little exercise. And then then June 22nd, also at noon on June 22nd, they have a Juneteenth event at Telford Park. That's going to be going on as well. So June 22nd, you can be outside all day, and then back to Beloit. They're going to be also at the park down on the river too, so you can walk through there and meet some individuals as well. I had the opportunity, a lot of times we approve things that go on businesses, permits, but I had the opportunity to go look at one of the businesses that we approved, and it was the S&D store up by McDonald's that used to be in the oil exchange place, and now it's a drive-through convenience store. So I decided to stop in there just to see how this works. The young man who is running that is truly, he explained everything to me, and it's a truly unique concept. He said he got that when he was out in Ohio visiting, and he said it's very popular out there, but to go in there and you order your food and you wait while they cook it, they bring it to you, or you can drive through and ask for convenience, like grocery store items. If they have them, they bring them to your car. And I just told him I wanted to stop out and see it in action. And it's very clean in there. I did ask him if he have a problem with people hanging around, and he said absolutely not, because he doesn't tolerate that. So this is a young man that definitely is moving kind of in the right direction, I think. And I told him I haven't heard anything in the community about any problems that he's having. So I just wanted to say kudos to him as well. And then also, as I often say, thank you to our staff for a job that you do each and every day, running the city, every one of our staff members. But also, I also have to really thank the city manager for her leadership, and then also have to thank the city attorney, because a lot of times what we do out here, Beth is here sometime 10, 11 o'clock at night if you drive by, making sure that things are getting done, keeping us legal down here, because believe it or not, there's times we come up with some ideas, and I'm glad she's here that we can run them by her, because it definitely helps us. So kudos to everyone who continues to work for the city to make it a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Levy. Now, Councilor Forbeck.
Well, this was my first attempt at walking in the Memorial Day Parade, even though I've had the opportunity but couldn't do it before. So even though I was attempting to walk that long mile or two, I luckily got to be in a car.
I had to lasso her off the sidewalk. She was just...
So that means I made it the entire length. But I did want to make a sort of serious comment about, it's really wonderful when you're in the parade and you're waving to the people of Beloit and South Beloit. Honestly, I mean, there are people out there with little tiny babies. There are people who are even older than me out there with their families. It really did your heart good, not only to think about Beloit, but our country. I mean, this is it, you guys, you know? And so I was very teary talking to my husband after I got back, and I'll never miss an opportunity to do it again. Okay, and then just the second thing I have to say is there's something else going on June 8th. That's the high school graduation. And I have a fabulous grandson who's graduating. So, anyway.
Do you want to say his name?
Oh, could I say Cullen Schoof? Yes, I could.
Clever of you to put that in the form of a
Telling you,
question.
right.
That's great.
That's all. Okay. Thank you, Councilor Forbeck. Councilor Anderson.
Thank you. Just a couple things that I did over the last couple weeks. First one was I went to the Vets Roll Welcome Back event. This is the 10th year they've done that, and I got to stand up in front of everybody and just welcome them back and thank them for their service, because I think quite often they don't hear that enough. And I guess this is the first time that they didn't have any emergency room visits, so they definitely were very excited about that. That was a good trip then. And then I got to join everybody else at the Memorial Day Parade, and while it's a fun time, I think it's a great time for us to reflect and thank those and appreciate those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice and didn't come home. So definitely it's time for us to think about that. I did also want to shout out the graduating class of 2019. I don't have anybody in there that's graduating, but it's that no comment. Lori gave me a look. I just wanted to make sure. We have a bright future. We have a lot of great kids coming out of that high school. So our future is in good hands. I know people kind of rag on young people and say young people are going to destroy the world, but I think they'll do just fine. They're a good group of kids coming out of that school, and I'm very proud of them for accomplishing that. Another thing I did mention when I was struggling through that proclamation, there is a march to honor 100 years of votes for women and celebrate a century of progress. It's through the Janesville League, but I was told the Beloit League will be there as well. You can go there June 10th. It's at 5 p.m., but you can go there at 4 p.m. at the town square to make signs and posters. And you can walk to JPAC with them for a living history show at 6 p.m. So if you would like to attend that, you can also get a commemorative event scarf for just $10. So please check that out if you're looking at that. That I think is a Monday, so next week. And that is all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Anderson. I'll go back to what you were saying and give a shout out to all the graduates and wish best wishes to our class of 2019 graduates, and just say it certainly takes a lot of hard work and determination. And so we not only have students but parents that'll be graduating. So I want to say good luck to all of them on their path to success. And then as far as the events, I had an opportunity to attend the Beloit Literacy for Life meeting, the Women's Fun Luncheon, the Rock County Breakfast, the Wisconsin Women in Government celebration, which took place in Monona Terrace in Madison, and then also our Memorial Day Parade with my fellow counselors. And we had a great time. It was a wonderful experience, just like you said, Nancy. And I know that many of our counselors here are looking forward to going to even more events in our city. I also want to mention, on a serious note, that our hearts go out to the victims in the Virginia Beach incident and their families. Let's keep them in our prayers and continue spreading the message of hope and love in our Beloit community. And speaking of that, I want to say thank you. Thank you to our veterans for their sacrifices and to the men and women who were part of Vets Roll. Kudos to all of you. Also, special thanks to Chief Zabowski and the Beloit Police Department for their efforts. You had a wonderful award ceremony, you had the badge pinning ceremony, and for making Colton's wish come true. Also, special thanks to Sarah Miller, our Director of Strategic Communications. You did a wonderful job, Sarah, getting the word out and on social media about Colton and our many events. Much appreciated. Last but not least, thank you to our city manager and city staff for the work you are doing and giving to our Beloit City every day. It certainly shows. And I want you to know that we really, truly, truly appreciate all your hard work. And the pool opens June 8th. So that's even more positive news. So with that said, we'll go on to item 12.
Item 12A is a resolution 2019-74 approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Beloit and the School District of Beloit.
The purpose of this agreement is to set forth clearly the roles and responsibilities of both the City of Beloit and the Beloit School District in regard to the partial closure and vacation of 4th Street. Both items related were earlier on the agenda for the vacation of that portion of 4th Street and also for the acquisition of the right-of-way needed for turn lanes to accommodate that closure. This agreement will be tied to the property and make clear that in perpetuity this street is to be closed to vehicular traffic. I'd be happy to respond to any questions you might have.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve item 12A, please?
I so move.
There's a motion by Councilor Forbeck. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Jacobson. Any discussion? If not, any discussion? Okay, if not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? With that said, motion carries.
12B is a resolution 2019-82 consenting to a sublease between Beloit 2020 Corporation doing business as Beloit 200 and Axe Community Development Corporation doing business as Axe Housing for the property at 1003 and 1005 Pleasant Street.
On November 27th of 2018, the city entered into a lease agreement with Beloit 2020 Corporation doing business as Beloit 200. That's for the property at 1003 and 1005 Pleasant Street, otherwise known as the Pump House. The lease agreement included language where the tenant agreed to only sublease to nonprofit organizations, but it did require prior consent of the city to do so. The tenant has requested that they be allowed to sublease to Axe Community Development Corporation, otherwise known as Axe Housing. They are a nonprofit organization that is working in Beloit to encourage homeownership opportunities for low-income individuals and families. Staff certainly is in favor of this consent to sublease to this nonprofit doing some very exciting work in the city, and would be happy to answer to any questions you might have.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve item 12B, please?
So moved.
Is a motion by Blakely. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Forbeck. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? With that said, motion carries. Now can I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
There's a motion by Forbeck. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jacobson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that said, we are adjourned.
Did you get